The next thing that we're going to do is an actual checking simulation. So we're going to do deposits, we're going to do withdrawals, we're going to write checks and deposit slips, all of those different things. First, we're going to do them in groups, and then we're going to come back together and put them up on the smartboard to make sure that we've all done it correctly before we have to do this on our own. But first, I want to walk you through the packet you have in front of you. It's a pink packet. So the first thing it says, you will be recording banking transactions for yourself using the following transactions. Use the checks and deposit slips given to you on the attached sheets. Make sure that you take your time and make sure all of your calculations are correct. So I would use a calculator. You should use a pen when writing your checks and deposit slips. However, you may use a pencil when recording your transactions in the check register. Since this one is just for practice, you could use a pencil for the whole thing if you wanted. That way you can erase if you make some mistakes. In the real world, we wouldn't want to use a pencil on our checks because we don't want people to be able to alter them. Your beginning balance is $0. So then it lists a whole bunch of transactions for you to do, which we're going to look at in a second here when we look at our Smart Notebook file. Then you have some deposit tickets. So these are the things that you fill out when you put money in the bank. It also tells you how they want them to endorse these checks. So you're going to sign that endorsement in these boxes where it says endorse here. Same thing here. Keep going. Then we have a bunch of checks. They will tell you when you're supposed to be writing a check in your simulation. It also tells you what check number it is, so you're going to need to fill that out. More checks. And then at the very end, you get something called an account statement. This is not in your pink packet. This is a separate sheet. So once we have gone through the Smartboard check on this, we're going to do the reconciling all together as a class because it's a little bit more difficult than just writing the checks. So let's take a look at the first problem here. It says, June 1st, you open your checking account with your first paycheck. So we're making a deposit. So the very first thing we want to do is find a deposit slip on our sheet. So here's a deposit slip. So it says that the check represents your biweekly paycheck that you receive from your job at a local store. You're depositing all of your check, which means that you're not going to take any money out. If you notice, on this deposit ticket, you have a place to be writing if you wanted to take money out. But for this problem, we're not going to do that. And we want to endorse it with a blank endorsement. So the very first one, we're depositing our whole paycheck, so that $425.36. So we'll write $425. I apologize for the clarity in this, guys. I'm trying to do this with the mouse. $425.36. Our total deposit then is $425.36. We did not receive any cash, so we put a 0 there. So our net deposit is that same $425.36. This is a pretty easy one, pretty straightforward. Okay, over on the left side of our deposit ticket, the date is on our sheet. It says it's June 1st. Down here, do we have to sign this line? The answer to this is no, because it says sign on line above only if cash received. Since our cash received over here is 0, we don't have to sign on that line. Our last thing is to write that blank endorsement. So remember, a blank endorsement is just your signature. So you'll sign in the box. And then we're done with our deposit. So the next thing we have to do is add this to our records. So we need to go find that page that has our checkbook on it, which should be the last page for you guys. So we need to add this transaction. First thing, what is our current balance? It said on the front page that our beginning balance is $0. So we're going to write that up here on the top so we don't forget that our current balance is $0. So again, our date is 6/1 because it's June 1st. What goes in the number column over here? That's where we put the check number. Since this is a deposit, we don't have a check number, but you will have that for some of the other transactions. So the transaction description is where you want to tell yourself exactly what this deposit was for. So I would write something to the effect of deposit weekly paycheck or deposit paycheck. But you want to tell yourself not only that it's a deposit, but also what the deposit was for. Was it a paycheck? Was it a birthday gift? Was it somebody that paid back a loan? Okay, in the next columns, the payment column is where you would subtract. Payment is a withdrawal. Deposit is where you would add. So is this a payment or a deposit? That's right, it's a deposit. So we're going to put that $425.36 in the deposit column. Now this dashed line here that appears on mine, and I don't think it's on yours is a solid line, that is to denote a decimal point. So the change should always go to the right side. So since it's a deposit, we want to add it. So in our balance column, we take the $425.36, add it to the $0 we have in our account, and our balance is $425.36. The balance column should be a running amount of how much you have in your account at any given time. So now you guys are going to go and do this on your own, and then we're going to come back together and do the reconciling of the account.